You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock.
The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
It's Beer O'Clock and this is the Beer O'Clock Show, and this week sees the end of Season 6. And joining me, covered in bunting and dressed head to toe and kiss me on Irish clothes, it's Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Also joining us to see the end of the season are the Dunnes, Wayne and Janice from the Irish Beer Snob podcast. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hiya.
And from 5 Minutes of Finney, it's Sarah Finney. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us yet again. We've got two very nice looking Irish beers to finish off this season of the Irish Craft Beer. We have a Revolution Red from Kelly's Mountain and Dark Arts Porter from Trouble Brewing. So we'll be getting to those in just a little bit. Stevie!
Oh.
We're going to do a little review of season so far, aren't we?
Yeah, let's have a little look back over what we've been doing this season.
Go ahead.
Damn you, normally you have the beer list ready. I didn't prepare this.
Okay, well, hang on, let me alt-tab. I've got my two computers going, so it's all very confusing. I'm so professional. So let's go through the beers that we've had on the season so far. Some of these aren't Irish, because obviously we always mix it up, but most of them are. So we have, top to bottom, Galway Bays of Foam and Fury. Andy Parker came on the show and did Tootie and Fruity with us. We had the Herb Becaron, 4.8%, that salty beer thing. The Black IPA from Blacks of Kinsale, Jarl from Fine Ales. We obviously had our fantastic homebrew special that we always love. Shall I keep going, or are we going to save half of this for later?
Keep going. Go through the list, and then
right.
let's go back and look at the highlights.
Fine. We had the Macalla Siren Beer Geek Daydream White Stout that I drunk by mistake and had to get another bottle of. Brew Rua Tickety Brew Double Bow Bristle Amber, 5 points Hook Island Red, Colonel's Export Stout London 1890 that we did last week, and this week's Kelly's Mountain Revolution Red Ale and Trouble Brewing's Dark Art Porter. There you go. That's a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer this season, and that's also obviously not including the Sink the Bismarck that we threw in a few weeks ago as well, as a bit of a bonus review. But that's been a pretty impressive list this season. Yeah.
So what's been your standout ones from this season, Steve? Let's start with you.
It'd be remiss of me not to say all of the Irish beers that we've tried have been fantastic. They've been a real experience just trying a different range of beers from sort of like breweries that are new and are up and coming, and we've really been exploring some of the different tastes. Obviously, barring the two that we've drunk tonight, the standout for me was a Foam and Fury way back at the beginning of the season, an absolute stunning double IPA. Outside of the Irish beers, there are probably two that stand out more than anything else. One of them being the beer that we did on show 100, which was a Siren Michela Daydream White Stout, and I'm very excited about the barrel-aged version of that's coming out in a few weeks. And then the other real standout beer for me was the Fine Jarl. That was probably one of the real finds of the season. What about yourself, mate?
I would go with the Galway Bay and the Jarl as well. Those top of my list, those two. But like you're saying, all of the Irish beers we've had so far are just spot on. You know, we had some bloke kind of picked out a list for us and put it together for us. It was.
I think he's here, isn't he?
He is.
He's been very, very quiet through this.
So
this is reverence, just odd reverence, lad. That's all it is.
Wayne, just tell us how you went about putting the 6 beers together for us, mate.
Whatever breweries gave me the most free bit. No, I'm like, well, I suppose I kind of wanted to get as many kind of different styles from as many different breweries as possible. So that's why we had kind of no real brewer repetition. Obviously, I went with a couple of beers that, would be the reliable choice for me, that if I'm kind of, passing through and I'm like thinking, you know what, I'd fancy one of those kind of, a guzzling jug kind of beer. There's a few of them in there, and then obviously the likes of Foam and Fury. I thought it was important to include that because it really highlights, the potential that is in the Irish beer scene at the moment. But there's also a lot of very good other beers being made, and I just tried to get a broad representation of as many styles and we couldn't do an Irish beer season without having a red ale and a porter or stout in there either, really.
And that's what brings us full circle to tonight, isn't it? That's why we're doubling up on these two tonight, because these are the two classic styles, aren't they, that are normally produced in Ireland.
Yeah, well, they're synonymous with Ireland. The Irish red is linked obviously by its name and its style, but we all know that porter and stout has been a very popular beverage in this country for over 2 or 3 centuries now, and one of the world's most popular brands of stout is made in Dublin. Some might not even call it a beer now, but it gives us the kind of the I suppose the heritage in that kind of style.
Anything else you want to ask Steve before we get into the news, buddy?
No, let's. I think it's time to dive into the news, mate, because I'm already getting a little bit thirsty, and I know there's a beer on the other side of the news. So let's get into it.
All right, here's your pips. Beep 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 beep.
Okay. There are 2 pieces of news this week, and they're both pretty major actually in terms of what they are. So. Obviously, we widely reported on last week's show was the announcement from Brewdog, and we'll come to that in a second, because on the same day that Brewdog announced their equity for punks for crowdfunding, there was a news article came out about a decision that was made at the CAMRA's annual general meeting this year, which was widely known as Motion 15, and essentially it's saying that what's come out of this is this conference instructs the National Executive to investigate a labelling scheme for naturally conditioned key keg beer, which would allow customers to identify which beers at the point of sale conform with the CAMRA criteria for real ale. Now, this is essentially opening the door for key kegs to start appearing at CAMRA real ale festivals, which is a massive move for CAMRA. It's a massive step forward. There's a lot of talk saying it's going to be a few years before we actually see it. And obviously this story probably got lost in the excitement around what was going on with Brewdog. But it's you can't understate it enough, really, that motion being passed at the CAMRA AGM was a real move forward for beer in the UK. So if you've not come across that yet, I'm sure you can search it out on the internet, or if you check out Boke and Bailey's blog, which is where I got the information from. They also linked to a report by the well-known blogger Tandelman. They're probably the two to read about that story. So that's the first one. And then secondly, yes, the second one, Brewdog launched Equity for Punks 4 last week. We covered that on the show. Yeah, it's old news now. We had the exclusive last week, interview with James Watts. Go back and listen to that. But also today, Brewdog have sent out what's got to be the biggest news release I've ever seen from them. So deep breath here. New Brewdog bars coming in Soho, Glasgow, Leeds, Brighton, Berlin, Oslo, Rome, Brussels. There's going to be a Bottle Dog in Edinburgh, and it would seem that they've changed their idea on the concept that was going to go into Islington, which was going to be Dog Eat Dog, and that's now being referred to simply as Brewdog Angel. So they are looking at opening a shitload of new bars in the next week.
But none of them in Ireland, though.
None of them in Ireland yet, interestingly enough. No.
I reckon if I get 200 equity punks, I'll have a pub outside my door.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. I mean, out of that list, the one that most surprised me was Soho, because I didn't really think that London needed another Brewdog. But it would seem that there is another one coming, and in this news release, they're talking about it being their flagship bar. Now, at the moment, there's a lot of people that consider Brewdog Shepherd's Bush to be the flagship bar, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to make Soho stand out from that. Other Brewdog news as well, just quickly, is the additional news that's crept out last week of Punk is now available in 500ml cans, so I imagine people will be stocking up on that for the summer, and also a new beer that they're going to be releasing called Born to Die, which is a terminally hoppy Imperial IPA, a beer so hopped up that it has to be drunk super fresh. Basically, what they've done is they've taken the Stone Enjoy By concept and they're releasing it in their own format called Born to Die. That's the only details I've got on that at the moment, so not sure when those beers are going to be available. And then just obviously the only other news is Equity for Punks 4. The only referral code you need is R311979. Thank you very much.
And that's the last you're going to hear of Equity for Punks on this
You can put
podcast.
my code in the show notes as well, Mark.
No, you can leave that out. So that's all the news I've got. I just wondered if there's any news from the other side of the pond, chaps.
There's always news over here.
Let's have it then. Let's have the Irish news.
Galway Bay Brewery have opened a new bar in Dublin called the Beer Market. It's at Dublin Beer on Twitter is the Twitter handle, but it's a very different concept to what they've currently got. The idea being it's all limited edition and one-off beers on draft, and a range of rare bottles as well. Very few of their own products actually on draft. I think in there at the moment they only have one Galway Bay product on draft, and that's 200 Fathoms. The rest, and there's 20 taps or so, Sarah, you were in there the other night, that are all different beers from all over the world. And I was talking to Andy, their general manager, today, and he was saying that they're hoping to have some Ballast Point and some Stone beers in there very shortly. But it's a very different departure. There's maybe only 4 lines will be pints, and the rest will all be maybe 2/3, halves, or thirds, depending on the ABV. But it's something very different, and it's only beer. There's no whiskey or spirits or anything like that, as far as I know.
So you'll be taking me there in September when I visit again.
Definitely.
Excellent.
In terms of other news, not a huge amount really. It's kind of that calm before the storm at the minute. I think it's going to hit festival season now in June, bank holiday weekend, and there'll be pretty much regular beer festivals or craft beer events over the summer months, because it's a very popular time of year for it. But at the moment, there just seems to be a few kind of people holding their breath, waiting to kind of unleash some news over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, and people can keep an eye on your Twitter feed for up-to-the-minute Irish news, can't they?
They can, of course. Those that are interested at Irish Beer Snob on Twitter, yeah.
Very good. Shall we get into this beer?
Please.
Let's get into this beer.
What one are we doing first?
We're going to do the Revolution Red first.
Woo!
Janice, don't tell me this is one of your favourite beers ever.
No.
Oh.
It's up there. I like it.
So
It seems as though every time we've had you on, this is my favourite beer ever.
No.
Janice is the girl who cried wolf.
Brew is my favourite.
So this is the Revolution Irish Crafted Red Ale from Kelly's Mountain Brew. It is a 4.8% ABV Irish Red.
Oh, it's got a wonderful fruity aroma to it.
I suppose a little bit of story about Kelly's Mountain Brew. Ronan and Jackie are the two owners behind the company. Ronan is a qualified engineer, and he designed the brewery from scratch himself, using his engineering expertise he picked up in the Middle East, out in Dubai and the Emirates. Came back. He's from Donegal originally, up in the northwest of Ireland, and the original intention was to have the brewery up in Donegal. That's why it's called Kelly's Mountain Brew, but they're based in Kildare, which is one of the flattest counties in Ireland. So they decided to pick the name anyway. So it's good, like, in the sense of it's a bit of fun as well, because like Kildare is probably low sea level and very flat. So it's a bit of fun in that regard.
It would be interesting to see if anybody would ever challenge that brewery as not being a craft brewery then. The guy has designed and built it from scratch.
Yeah.
You can't get a greater definition of craft than that, can you, really?
Yeah, like it's really using his expertise, and he has a brewer in there working for him who has decades of experience as well. So it's kind of, playing to his strengths in that regard, where, you probably see it a lot over there. There's a lot of people working on cobbled Franken kits in terms of, they'll started out with one, but over the years there'll be things added, and, fabricated in that weren't necessarily in the original design. So it's really interesting to see. But like Jackie and Ronan are two lovely people, and that this is the second beer they released. The first one was a pale ale called Justice, and then they've also got a sweet porter called Revenge. But that aroma is beautifully fruity, and you can kind of get the malt biscuit through it as well.
Yeah, it's like a dark fruit cheesecake almost that you're getting from that. It's got real dark fruity flavours to it, and like I say, it's got that biscuitiness in the background, but then there's just a hint of something else, a little bit of vanilla in there as well, and it's certainly a very inviting beer in terms of the aroma.
Well, let's tuck in.
Let's do it.
Cheers, guys. Sláinte.
There's a lightness to it as well, what I like. It's not a very heavy red ale.
It's not, but it's also very rich. I find it like a rich malty red. I don't know.
Kind of reminds me of them Cadbury's Tiffin bars. Do you remember them?
Yes.
You know, the kind of bit of biscuity bits and raisins and stuff.
Never had one.
What's the equivalent? Picnic, is it? Picnic bars?
Well, you can still get chocolate tiffins, which is essentially milk chocolate
like
raisins and biscuit.
Yorkie for men.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
it is. It's got a lovely taste to it. All those flavours are in there. I'm getting a slight smokiness off of mine as well. Just hints of it, but it's certainly not taking away from all those sweet flavours that are going on in there.
Interesting kind of fact about the label. I remember when Ronan brought the beer out, he gave me a couple of bottles to kind of see what I thought, and he said to me, "There's a code on the back."
Yeah, what is that?
Look around the back. At the time, he told me that code is a cipher, and if I could work it out, it would tell me the name of their next beer. Obviously, I'm not a cryptologist, so I have no fucking idea.
Well, there's something to do with like male. Is that male or female?
The name of the letter is Revenge.
Yeah, but like again, each group of characters will make a letter.
So does that have the same? Has that got a different code on the bottle of Revenge? Then I wonder.
I don't know. It's a simple answer there, but it's definitely. I remember him telling me, and I was like, "Well, how are you meant to kind of work that out?" And interestingly enough, another Irish brewer there recently released a beer, a Cumbrian dark ale called, was it Sneaky Owl?
Sneaky Owl.
And he has a code on the label that was written using an Enigma machine thingy. And his prize for anyone who actually figures out what it actually says, what is written on the back of on all through the label, is a full day brewing in the brew house with the brewer, and obviously getting to bring home the beer they brew.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, it's like, I think he's doing it in the summertime, but I thought like it's a great prize. But he said like you'll be weeks trying to figure out what this is. So it's just something a bit different. Phil always does something a bit kooky in terms of his branding and stuff, which is really good. But this is like we all kind of know that red ale is my Marmite. Mm-hmm. But this is like one of the few that I would kind of consider paying for with my own money. I wouldn't normally drink red ales. But, I actually really enjoy it.
I got a badge!
Mark's checking in his beers live.
Got a badge!
Tonight, folks.
Luck of the Irish level 2.
I feel like there's almost deep cherry in this.
Well, another thing about Kelly's Mountain Brew is that they were actually one of the first brewers that we had involved in our very first mini beer festival last year in Navan.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we're hoping they might be interested in doing another one this year with us.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And that's when we got to really know Ronan and Jackie.
Yeah, out of any brewer, Jackie is the best party piece out of any of the lot of them. She actually used to be a singer in a previous life, and she actually started singing, like playing guitar and singing with the musicians that were there on the day. It was actually really good. It was great when those kind of things happen. It was just like, what's Jackie doing? Singing, what? But yeah, it's really, really good. Like, they're two great people, and delighted for them that it's going well. Really big fan of Revolution. As I said, red ale would be my kind of Marmite style, but I really enjoy that. It's light enough and has enough going on to keep me interested as well.
What else have they got in their range? So they've got the red. Is that it, or have they got a range of core beers?
They have. Is it a pale ale called Justice?
They have a pale ale and they have a ruby porter as well. And I haven't had the pale, but I've had the porter and it's quite good.
Oh, the pale is gorgeous.
I'll have to try that then.
Yeah, without sounding like I'm denigrating the pale ale, it's very much an introduction to craft beer.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's not going to frighten your Heineken and Budweiser drinkers into an early grave. It'll kind of, it has enough flavour to step up, but it's a proper beer as well in that sense.
Oh, you got one too. Jesus.
Yeah, I think they're
not very. They're not in very many places. I actually had to go get this in a fresh foods, like Fresh Market or whatever the fuck that grocery store is.
Because they probably handle a lot of the accounts themselves, and I think they're distributed through Barry and Fitzwilliam as well.
Yeah.
We got ours in O'Brien's.
We
got
ours in Rodney's and Trim.
Yeah.
So, excuse my really poor Irish geography. Whereabouts is County Kildare? Is it Kildare?
It's below the county we live in, and it's next to Dublin also.
Yeah, so it's like 30 miles west of us.
Okay, but it's difficult to find their stuff in Dublin, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, like it's a bit like, obviously it's not a big operation.
Yeah.
And they are in a few of the local supermarkets, so I'd imagine they get a fair amount of their production, and the local area actually supports them quite strongly. They're in a number of pubs in Clane where they're based. But as well, I think they handle a lot of the distribution themselves, so it's kind of like hard when it's a two-man operation to get everywhere.
True.
As well.
Yeah.
Have you beat Janice?
Iron?
So have you beat?
Oh no!
I'm Luck of the Irish, level 47.
Fucking hell.
Wow, that's some impressive tapping in there.
Oh my god! Thanks, Sarah, for just dashing my dreams.
I'll wait that for you, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's like 200 and something different Irish beers, isn't it?
Jesus.
That's a lot of Irish beer.
You gotta try a lot of beer.
Right. What's
Guys, the same with England.
This is a very nice. Like you guys have been saying, it's a really nice red. This one.
I like the fact that, like, this sounds odd, but like a lot of because a lot of Irish like reds, I find, because the diacetyl or whatever it is tastes like butter. If anybody's ever gotten that off of a red, no.
No.
Normally,
No, you've gotten butter off of a red. I've gotten like the taste of butter off of a red before. This one doesn't actually have the taste of butter off of it. What do I think the taste of butter off of?
What red ale did you have that tasted like butter, Sarah?
I'm not gonna say. I'll be diplomatic. But...
Does it begin with an M?
I'm not sure what you're. Yeah, I don't know.
Ah, you're not fun. But I think we're just munching away here on some bread that Janice baked.
Yeah, I can tell that, and you're making me hungry. So stop.
We'll be getting to that in a little bit. Steve, what do you think of this Revolution Red, mate?
I'm really enjoying it, mate. I'm enjoying the sweet flavours that are in there. They're carrying right through until the end. There is a slight, as it's getting towards the end of the bottle, there's a slight syrupiness, a stickiness to it, but it's not in an unpleasant way. It almost amplifies those flavours even more. For me, this is just another really great example of a really well brewed beer.
Yeah, when I first started drinking it, my head filled with that lovely hop aroma, and it's a really sweet malty biscuitness with slight touch of dark fruits. It's kind of weakening off now as I'm getting to the end of it, but that's to be expected really once I say it a little bit.
It's a nice glass.
But yeah, like Sarah said, it's a nice glass. Nice glass of beer.
I think it's.
Oh, you said my glass is a nice glass.
Yeah,
oh, I see.
See, now I can't even see what's going on, and I knew what she meant there, mate.
Oh, it's only.
Fancy with his glass.
Well, thank you. It's my Teku glass.
I think the difference between this and Rua is quite interesting. Like, the two breweries are probably 25 miles apart, and they both have very different interpretations of an Irish red ale style. Like, obviously Kelly's is leaning more on the traditional side, where the lads in Brew have kind of jazzed it up a bit with a bit more hop forwardness, a bit more hop aroma as well. So it's just interesting to see the kind of different take on the style.
The one thing I've found with all the beers that you've recommended this season, Wayne, are their drinkability. They're so easy to drink. They're what I call guzzlers. They're beers that you can just, that first pint is gone within a few minutes, because it's just, they're so easy. They're so light. They're so flavoursome. None of them have been hard work. And that's the thing that I've enjoyed most about doing them this season is they've just all been a real pleasure to drink.
Yeah, agreed.
It was so good, mine's gone.
That's Steve's line.
I was going to say, yeah, everyone's having my lines tonight.
You might as well just sit back and be a passenger, Steve. We're taking over.
Well, once I can get you all spouting my referral code, the job's done.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Oh, 1, 2, 3, shut the fuck up.
No, Mark used my referral.
Yeah, if you pay for my in, then I'll use your referral code. No problem.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Isn't that a draft anywhere?
Not in Dublin.
I think so.
In locality in Clay, and he's on draft in a couple of places.
Maybe at our festival there when you come down to it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there a cask version of this? Because I imagine a cask version would be
That's
absolutely
really nice.
outstanding.
I'm not sure. I've not seen a cask version of it. Next time I'm talking to Ronan, I can ask him.
I've never seen them do cask anything, actually.
Very few Irish breweries do cask.
Oh, is there not much demand for it?
There's
Not really, no.
Not really over here.
it's a niche within a niche, I suppose, in the sense of it would be cask would be very popular in areas where they get a lot of kind of tourists from the UK. Like particularly
Dublin.
Huh?
So Dublin then.
Not really.
No.
Dublin has a fair few cask engines in it, but like, you know, you saw it yourself in Brewdog. There's 2 there. I suppose Elmulgan Grocer would probably have maybe 5 or 6 cask engines in there. But again, I think one of the biggest troubles facing cask in Ireland is the lack of kind of cask mark accreditation. The only pubs over here that would be cask mark accredited would be Wetherspoons at the moment. Now, obviously, you know, the standard of cask, unfortunately, can be very variable in Ireland, which is, you know, like there's nothing worse than putting someone off if you give them a bad pint of a cask beer, because it's a different experience in itself. And I think a lot of brewers would not do cask, but I do know 1 or 2 breweries that regularly do cask. Trouble Brewing regularly have cask offerings of dark arts and their other pale ales, and you know, there may be maybe, I don't know, between 5 and 10, Sarah, would you say, that do regular cask beer in Ireland at the moment?
Yeah, sure. And I think it depends where you put them in too. Like, I know, you know, obviously all the Galway Bay pubs have, I think they all have probably 2 cask tap, you know, 2 cask taps, I don't know what you would call them, but anyhow, like 2 specific in their brews pubs there. So if you have somewhere you can actually trust to do cask correctly and take the cask off when it should be taken off, and you can trust them to actually have a fresh keg on and it'll be fine, that's fine. But like, if you're putting it in somewhere else where you're not sure if they're going to do what they should do and might be serving a bad beer, then I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, but I agree with Steve. I think this would sing in cask.
No, I think it'd be really good in cask, but you know, it's finding a place to put it in and having the demand for it too. I mean, there's not as much demand for cask here, and that's the thing. So,
yeah.
Is everyone ready to get on to the next beer?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Right, well, our second beer is from Trouble Brewing. It is their Dark Arts Porter. It's a 4.4% porter.
The last time I actually had this was when I was in my phase where I didn't like stouts and porters. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so why did you recommend this one, Wayne?
Because it was one of the first Irish craft porters I tried, and it's just something that if I ever see it on draft somewhere and if they've got a pour range or there's not anything else that's grabbing my fancy, I'll always pump for it because it's so reliable.
Yeah, I mean, this used to be my go-to porter, to be honest.
Yeah.
When it first came out, like,
It's
this
really
is in a lot of different places. They had to go through. They had it everywhere, and it used to be my go-to porter.
Well, we'll get into the flavour compound or flavour profiles in it that make it more drinkable for me. But yeah, I'd echo what Sarah says. It was very widely available. Like Trouble Brewing would be maybe about 5 years old now, and they'd kind of be seen as the old guard, as mad as that sounds, because they're 5 years in existence. But they've always had a core range of a golden ale, the porter, and then an IPA as well. And they've always had a core, but they also have done some absolutely insane experimentation over the last year or so since they got a new brewer in. And they've actually recently produced Ireland's first triple IPA called Hot Priority, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hoping to try that tomorrow evening if it's on in one of the pubs we're going to. But
That's very good. Yeah.
It's meant to be exceptional, but a risk in terms of what it is for an Irish brewery.
Yeah, but they have the ability to try risky beers now, like since they've been around for so long,
Yeah.
Right, let's get into it, guys. Slauncher number 2.
Slash.
Again,
Oh.
yes.
Brewdog. Well
It's
done.
got a lovely aroma on it. It's that there's just so many hints of flavours in there. Just on the aroma. There's there's a little bit of coffee, a little bit of pine. You can certainly get the hops, a little bit of caramel in the background. It's it really invites you in.
Get a bit of milk chocolate in there.
Yeah, it's definitely quite roasty on the nose. And I always love the labeling with the voodoo doll.
I must have come a long way with my stouts and porters because I actually like this now.
Oh yeah. Never lets you down. One of the things that actually drew me to it in the first time was actually the label.
Yeah, the label was amazing.
The label was very distinct, and they had a series of bottles last year where they had a kind of more fancy, clean edge lined labeling, and I'm like, why did you change? The other labeling was so good.
Hated it.
But they've kept the core range, thankfully. That really identifiable from a mile away. That's a Dark Arts Porter by Trouble Brewing.
Yeah.
It's very distinctive branding.
Yeah.
I have to say it goes so well with a lump of blue cheese.
Have you
Are
moved
you
on to the
eating
cheese
blue
now
cheese?
as well, Janice?
Are you carrying it with cheese now? Yeah.
Have you
Hashtag
prepared
cheese.
like a 4-course beer and food?
No, I literally just ran to the fridge and grabbed a lump of cheese.
I
think-
love how you bring me in one.
I think your puppy wants some cheese as well.
Yeah.
This is a lovely porter. It's not as oily as some porters are. It kind of breaks apart on the tongue really nicely. It's nice and smooth. It has a milky smoothness from it.
It's quite viscous as well. It's not thin. It's
It's got a little bit of a dry finish to it, which again is very well balanced. It's not unpleasant. Very much goes with a beer.
Yeah, it doesn't linger like a lot of porters do. You get some porters that they're living on your tongue for a little while, but this one just breaks off and you're ready for the next mouthful.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I would have poured that down the drain.
Oh,
Down the drain. You're giving it to me.
sacrilege!
I know, but like, look how far I've come though with stouts and porters. I'm actually enjoying it, and I've never been able to really say that. Oh look what he's done.
Give them to me.
He's doing another blend right now.
What's he blending?
He's blending Revolution with Dark Art.
Well, that's because of what's his face did it earlier.
Yeah, that's because he stole our idea from the last one.
Who did it earlier?
Son of a gun.
Son of a gun in a bid to win this week's
Yeah.
great big box of nothing. He's gone all out for the prize this week.
He originally got the idea from us, Sarah.
God loves a trier.
Good old son of a Gervin.
I don't know what it is at the moment. I found myself in this past week absolutely craving cold porters. And I think it's because we've hit a little bit of a warm spell. It's not overly warm, and I'm still just wanting something that's going to have loads of taste in it, but there's cold as well. And literally, I've just been searching out cold porters this last week.
You can't really go wrong with a nice cold porter, though.
No.
And we've had some smashing ones in the last 6 months or so, I think.
Oh, stop.
I just keep going back to Ola Do, and all of these lovely old
Ola
engine oil and all
Dub.
that kind of stuff. Not Ola Dub or whatever the Harvesting beers.
Yeah, Ola Dub. It's not Ola Do.
Ola Do.
It's Ola Do.
I could drink a cold stout or
Is Scots
porter all
Gaelic
the
and Irish Gaelic not extremely similar? No.
I like do though. It sounds good.
I think they must be, and this is something that's interested me actually, because when I was over, you guys were referring to it as Dove, and I was like, no, it's Do. And I just wonder whether that's just the difference in dialect between Scotland and Ireland, possibly.
Maybe. Yeah, because Dublin is the translation from the word dove for black and then Lynn for rock. So Dublin's traditional name is Black Rock, but because we were occupied by English forces for so long, they just changed the name to Dublin.
Yeah.
I got a badge, everyone. Live badge in. Luck of the Irish, level 7.
Oh, amateur.
Amateur.
By the time you leave next time you're over, Steve, you'll be up to at least level 15 or 16.
Oh, all the Irish people.
The intention.
You'll have to fix that next time you're over.
Yeah, I did a blend again of the Dark Arts and Revolution after the last time I did a live blend. Kind of doesn't really work as well as I thought it would.
I can't see it
that's
working
well,
at all. I really can't. I
That's
think
just giving it the thumbs down.
the flavours are too distinct in each beer.
Yeah, does nothing.
There's not enough commonality between the two to kind of blend it. What did I blend the last time?
Dove Brewer.
Oh yeah, Drua.
Oh, Drewer.
Well, I did the Brewdog IPA is Dead series at the weekend, and I followed in the footsteps of Chris Hall, who we had on last week, and I saved a measure of each of the beers and blended them together to make a 5th IPA is Dead blend, and it worked, but it didn't. It was like every sip I had seemed to bring through one of the beers in a different way, but at the same time, clearly it had no respect for the brewing process or the art of balancing hops in the right quantities at the right time. And yeah, it was an interesting experiment, that one.
I
They're
do
all so
agree.
different. I don't know. I don't think they could be blended together to make a good beer.
I think the thing is as well, though, that some of the hops they use, you wouldn't normally use them as bittering in that sense. But I do agree with what Chris was saying, that I think for the IPA's Dead pack, they should do like pick the 4 hops, or even pick 3 hops if they want to keep it as a 4-pack, and then do a blended version, like an actual proper, using them in the right space as a full-on blend, and have that like,
kind of cool, yeah.
that would be really good. Like I think the question about are single hop beers still interesting? I think they are hugely interesting, particularly when it comes to new hops that even your most adventurous home brewer might not get anywhere near. So, but I do agree that they probably should do a kind of master bottle that says this is a blend of all the hops we've kind of picked for this series. And even if they didn't necessarily release it in the IPA's Dead pack, they could do it as a special one-off, like in the same way that they've done the convalescent drink and that one that they're bringing out now as well. But yeah, no, it's some great Irish beers out there at the moment. I think Trouble Brewing have they have an amazing sessionable pale ale called Graffiti. It is ridiculously full of flavour, and it's under 4% in alcohol. And it's a summer
Sounds
beer.
good.
They're bringing it back for the summer. So again, it's amazing. Like, I don't know what it's like in the UK, actually. This is a bit of a bugbear of mine. Recently, in particular, there seems to be a national media kind of slant towards implying that if you drink craft beer, that you're going to get more sozzled, or you'll be ingesting more alcohol because they hide the true level of ABV on the beer. Is there a similar kind of commentary on beer in the UK, or is it just over here where obviously Diageo and Heineken have all the reporters in their pockets? You know.
It's come up a couple of times in a couple of articles recently, and it's been very much debunked very, very quickly by some of the real beer journalists that have just said it's just lazy journalism.
Yeah, because there was an article I read recently, and one of the sweeping generalizations was, if you drank a pint of Foam and Fury, you'd be drinking twice the alcohol of a pint of Heineken. No shit, really? It's 8.5%. Of course I'm going to be drinking twice the alcohol of a pint of Heineken. I know this. I'm buying Foam and Fury, but nowhere sells it in pints.
You're also not selling it in pints, and you're also not going to drink it as fast as you would a Heineken, because people like that are just pounding it to get drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Just broad general statements which suck at the end of the day.
Fair enough.
I know, it's like one of those bit of moments that really grinds my gears, you know, that kind of way.
So end us the rant.
Yeah, get me started.
Stevie, how are you finding this porter, buddy?
Really enjoyable. It's again just incredibly well balanced. The flavours in there work so well together. There's no one flavour that's overpowering. There's chocolate, there's coffee, there's caramel, there's pine. It's all in there and it's all balancing out. It's got a lovely smooth, dry finish to it. It's really tickling my porter taste buds at the moment.
Me too. It's nice to have a porter that doesn't linger around. It just kind of your mouth is ready for the next drop when you're ready.
Yeah. I think what I like about it, I think it has a lot of similarities in flavour to a milk stout. For me personally, it's very similar to Buried at Sea, say by Galway Bay, but it doesn't have that kind of cloying sweetness you can get in a milk stout sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you might drink, I could probably in the deep depths of winter, I could definitely go on a session drinking Dark Arts, but I could probably only drink maybe 2 or 3 pints of Buried at Sea before I'd be like, God, I need something to freshen up my palate. But that's just me, you know. That's just the kind of like, you know, I lean more on the savoury side of things anyway, but I just think it mimics a lot of the characteristics of a milk stout, but it doesn't have the kind of lactic sweetness you can get from the lactose, because there's no lactose in this. This is all down to the grains and down to the brewing technique.
So, Stevie,
Mark,
while we're finishing up our porter, shall we have a little look forward to what's coming up next season and before then?
Yes, we mentioned season 7. Did we mention it last week or the week before? Just to give people a bit of a preview as to what's coming up. We are taking a week off after this week. We're giving ourselves a week break, and then we're going to be straight back with season 7. We're doing beers from across the Six Nations, as in the Rugby Six Nations. So we're gonna be dipping into Ireland again. We're gonna be into Scotland, Wales, England, Italy, and France. In addition to that, we're going to be drinking the beer that's being brewed for Beer Day Britain to celebrate that, and we'll be having another homebrew show coming up. And I think the homebrewers, as we seem to be finding season on season, are pushing the boundaries every time, and what the guys are putting forward for the next homebrew show could literally change the way that we think about homebrew. Seriously, there are some great suggestions in this. So it's going to be a fairly short season. It's only about 8 episodes, and then we're going to go into a run of some summer specials that we've got planned. In addition to that, and all around that, and something that we've not mentioned on the show yet, we've got the next lock-in coming up on Saturday the 16th of May, supported by Camden Town IHL. Wayne and Janice will be back and joining us for that, as well as will a number of other beer geeks from across Twitter. If you haven't seen one of our lock-ins before, you know the format. We'll do a serious beer review for about 20 minutes, and
20
then it's
seconds.
a race. And then it's a race to see who can get pissed first and who can bring out the most craft beer in the time. So that's coming up on Saturday the 16th of May. Once this season finishes, we'll start tweeting the link to where you can go to find it and watch it. So yeah, we've got lots coming up, mate.
Yeah, I was telling the missus tonight that, you know, I've got a month break now, but I I've completely forgot we've only got a week off.
Yeah, normally we have a month, but yeah, we've only got a week because, again, I think we've mentioned our holidays didn't exactly coordinate this year, so we've had to work around that. But what we are going to have is we're going to have an 8-week season, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put out 3 or 4 summer specials that will be out every other week during the summer. So you won't ever be too far away from your nearest dose of the Beer O'Clock Show.
As it should be, as it should be. Right, we have a little return of a segment that we introduced a few weeks ago. Let's cue some music. Craft Baker, and this week it isn't Steve, it's Mrs. Dunne. She's gone and done some baking.
Yes, I did. I went and again I used the Sláinte book, and I made a white bread loaf using double Gloucester cheese and Revolution.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
It is beautiful. And I've made, this is probably my 3rd time to make this actually, and it's actually turned out to be the best one, I think.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I followed the recipe, but I kind of changed it a little bit, like, because I went for the double Gloucester cheese this time instead of just a normal cheddar cheese. But I made it before.
Got chives in it as well, did it?
Yeah, with chives as well. And then I made it before when we had our brew day with Rye River in Kilcock a few weeks ago, and I used cheddar cheese. And I didn't have chives, and I couldn't find chives anywhere, so I actually used spring onion, and that still worked. That was okay. But
They're all part of the onion family. They are.
But this time it's really worked, and it's really, really nice.
Yeah, a lovely crunchy crust on it, and it'd be really nice with a nice soup.
Yeah.
That kind of way. Really good. Actually, Mark, send me your address separately. I have a copy of Sláinte to send over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Aren't you kind? I'll take everything back that I've ever said about you, Wayne.
At least on air, anyway.
Yeah. Right, so that's our craft baker for this week. Mrs. Dunne cooking bread with beer.
That feature might return in season 7. It depends on whether I can pull my finger out and bake anything else.
And you can slurp up my ear holes again when you're eating.
Are the beers for season 7 top secret at this stage still, or?
The list will be going live. This as you're listening to this on Friday, the list will go live next Friday. They're not top secret. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what they are. So I'll quickly rattle through the ones that I can remember. We're going to launch the season. So we're going to carry straight on with the Irish theme. Wayne, we're going to launch with the 8 Degrees Polar Vortex IPA. Yeah. That's where I begin to struggle to remember what the rest of them are. We are doing Angelus by a French brewery. We're doing a Krakatoa by an Italian brewery. All these details will be up on the website. We are hopefully going to be doing the Wayan Brewery Pamplemousse, which is a pale ale from Wales, which is quite a renowned pale ale. That's one that we're looking forward to. We are doing Broadside from Adnams, a good traditional strong English beer. We've obviously got the homebrew show. We've got the Beer Day Britain beer. We are hoping to feature the Brewdog 2015 mash tag as the representative from Scotland. I think that's all of the home countries. The full list with all the details will be on the website a week today. So that's Friday the 8th of May in the slot where we normally tweet the hell out of there's a new show. There'll be here's the new beer list instead.
Well done, well done.
You remembered it all, Steve.
Just about.
Right, do we have an Instagram of the week, mate, that Son of a Gun hasn't won?
We do. It's been a very sought after competition this week, following on from last week when I announced that there were 2 people that had won it 3 times each. so far this season. That Son of a Gun and Fantastic Film have both won it 3 times this season. So there's been a hot and hard competition for this week's great big final box of nothing. It's been almost really difficult to split them, but I'm going to go with one that literally caught my eye last Monday night after we finished recording, which is normally where I start the new competition. So before I get to that, honourable mentions this week. I've got to mention Son of a Gun because he went balls out. He tried to win it by going with the 2 beers that we're drinking tonight. Beautiful picture as always, but didn't quite do it for me. The second honourable mention is Plim Sean, who tweeted a picture of Siren's Love of Work, and it was just a really nice picture, really well balanced. Again, didn't quite do it. So this week's winner, and the first time he's won it this season. He's a previous winner, but it's good old Sparky Wright is back on form this week with a stunning black and white image of Brewdog's Tesco's Finest Double American IPA. That's up on our Instagram feed. It's linked to in the show notes. Please keep sending in your pictures while we're off air for the 1 week. We'll still be looking at them and enjoying those pictures. Use the hashtag cheers, guys, and we'll make sure we pick them up.
Well done, Sparky. I'm just loading up Instagram so I can get a look at that.
Are we doing a highlights of the Irish beer season, or are we kind of on the way to wrapping up now?
No, let's do a highlight. Segue. Perfect segue.
Yeah. Mark and Steve, what was your highlight of the Irish beer season? And Steve, if you say Foam and Fury, that's really predictable.
Well, yeah, it's the Foam and Fury for me. I mean, all of the beers have been incredible. Let me say that. I said that earlier on in the show. They've been really flavoursome. They've been really well balanced. They've been really enjoyable. I do like my flavours to smack me in the face, though, and the only one that's really done that for me was a Foam and Fury. Now, yes, I'm probably a little bit biased because I've had it a few times now, but for me it was just, I don't know if it was so much a highlight drinking it. The highlight was more being able to share it with our listeners, and also knowing that quite a few of our listeners managed to get hold of bottles of it thanks to the deal that you set up with Drink Store Wayne. So for me it was more about bringing the beer to the UK public and allowing them to taste it as well.
Mark, I know you're not a huge fan of the Mad Hoppy stuff, but what was your highlight of the Beer Clock Season 6 beer list?
I don't mind Mad Hoppy stuff as long as they do it properly.
Huh?
I don't mind Mad Hoppy stuff as long as they do it properly.
That's true.
Apart from Foam and Fury, I really liked the black IPA from Blacks. That was super tasty.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Irish beers this season have been spot on. I mean, obviously, you had a lot to work with, and you picked out ones that you thought were really good representations of what's available, or what the scene is producing. But I mean, it's hard to pick them out of the Irish ones. But Blacks, that's one that I remember as on the night thinking, this could hold its own amongst anything that's being put out amongst black IPAs over here.
Yeah. Sam is a very talented brewer. A really talented brewer. And he's not afraid to try new stuff as well. Like he in collaboration with an Irish cider producer for last year's RDS Beer Festival, he made a hopped cider that was 19%.
Jeez, goodness me.
16%, not 90%.
How much?
16%, not 19%.
16, sorry.
It's still up there, though, isn't it? Yeah.
That's quite reasonable then.
Still up there.
Yeah, what's 3% once you start getting into the late double figures?
What's 3% between friends?
Stonewell is now going to be bottling that. They're bottling that now. Yeah, they're bottling it, and they're going to be putting wax tops on it and everything, and going to be selling it. So,
wow, that's proper wanker. That is wax tops.
Yeah. They want to make it all special and stuff. Like you're buying a 16% cider. So.
Exactly, yeah. Steve, I know I sent you over a couple of bottles of 200 Fathoms. Did you actually drink one yet, and are you cellaring one, or did you cellar them both?
No, I've got one. Mark's got one. We've tucked those away. We're going to pull those out towards the end of season 8, so that will just be in the run up until Christmas. And we'll put the invite out to your good selves now to come back on that show with us towards the tail end of season 8, where we do the grand opening of the 200 Fathoms.
I was going to do mine on the lock-in, but I was told I wasn't allowed to. I was going to
you stop drinking the show beers, not on the show.
I was going to do it in one.
Watch you though, huh?
The chances of, like, if he does mistakenly do it, the chances of picking up a bottle of 200 Fathoms now, I might have to agree to sell my firstborn to Satan.
No, there's actually a store near me that still has 200 Fathoms.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, go and buy them all, just in case Mark relapses.
I have 8 bottles in my fucking...
Well, Sarah, Mark, Sarah will look after you if you want to drink that one on the...
All right.
The lock-in.
Yeah.
Sarah will ship one over to you.
Thanks, mate.
Ship you one, but...
But I must say, guys, it's been a real pleasure to help with season 6. Like, it was a bit of a difficult process picking the 6 beers, but delighted to... And all the brewers I've spoken to since have listened back to the podcast where you've reviewed the beers with them, they're all delighted with the extra coverage. And it's great to kind of get the story out there that there is great things happening in the Irish beer scene. And, you know, like, we might be a tiny beer market over here, but at the same time, there is a lot of good things going on. And it's great to be helping to get that message out as well.
All we need is an easier way to get beers back and forth, because it's ridiculous that it's so difficult to get Irish beers when we've just got that little piece of water between us.
It is actually too, like, and the amount of money you have to spend to, like, ship over from, like, one place to another if you're not in the UK, and the UK is up north. So what? Why?
Yes.
I don't even understand. Like, why is that so hard?
I know Brewdog charge extra for shipping to Northern Ireland.
Do they? It's like some places
If
don't.
Northern
Like,
Ireland as an address, it's still 10 quid shipping or something.
but they don't. Like some places, like what's the I'm trying to think of the brew box things that the one that, like, 52 or whatever that was.
Beer 52.
Beer 52. They don't. You just ship right to, like, the UK and you're fine. And it can be anywhere in the UK. It can be Northern Ireland and you're fine.
Well, I suppose it opens up the whole beer sharing thing. I know myself has talked about that already, and I found a company that'll ship boxes for pretty reasonable. So if we all group in together, there's no reason why we can't continue to share good beers.
Indeed.
Absolutely. It's been just to return that way, and it's been an absolute pleasure having yourself and Janice and Sarah, and earlier on in the season Ian as well, coming on with us and co-hosting these shows with us. And, you know, like I said, time you put into curating the list, because I suppose if you compare that to, like, over here, if someone said to me, can you put together a box of 6 of the best beers from London, I'd be like, fuck, where do I start with that? Literally, you know, where do I start choosing the best 6 beers from London? You've done a great job on the selection of the beers, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on with us throughout the season, sharing what's going on in Ireland as well, and just basically having a good time with us, just enjoying drinking some really good beer.
Yeah, we love you guys.
We're getting all emotional now. I've only had 2 bottles of beer. Well, Mark, you'll have to come over next time with Steve.
Yeah.
Like, Steve's coming back later in the year, but you definitely have to make the trip over. And we likewise have to make a trip over to you guys, because, like, we've no excuses with it being so close.
Well,
you know, as Steve was saying, he can fly over here for less than a train to Leeds.
We got the Brighton crawl in June. Perfect time.
But you're doing it midweek, dude.
Sorry?
Are you not doing it midweek?
No, weekend.
It's Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Since
Yeah.
when?
Yeah.
Since always.
Flying to Gatwick, train down to Brighton.
Yes.
Sorted. You could be home for tea.
I'll be straight on a Ryanair after we finish.
That's Saturday the 27th of June, everybody. That's the Brighton Crawl. That's not gone live on the website yet, but that'll be up in the next week or so as well.
Maybe.
And it's going to be a hell of a day.
It's going to be a great day, that one.
You're not staying in Brighton for the night, are you?
I'm not.
I'm not either, because I can get back to London in 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what time do the trains stop at?
Oh, late.
All right. We'll have a look at that. So, but if we don't make Brighton, obviously Steve's over with us in September, and
Yes.
should hopefully have plenty. And I'll try organising maybe a look around a brewery if you want to do that kind of thing as well.
Crawl of Doom 2. That's all I'm going to say.
Crawl of Doom 2, liver and kidneys on standby.
Right, let's wrap this up. Okay, the Beer O'Clock Show is proud to be supported by Ales by Mail, your premier destination for bottled real ales delivered directly to your door. Visit alesbymail.co.uk and use the code BOCS10 for a 10% discount. Wayne, Janice, Sarah, and Ian, wherever he is, thank you guys for being part of the season. This season, it's been amazingly great fun. Loving the beers, loving the Irish craft beer. Loving you guys, as I said.
Love you. I love you.
And
Over.
Stephen, this is it, mate. End of season 7.
This is it. Yeah, we're
Season 6.
season 6. Yeah,
End of season.
Mark's getting ahead of himself. He's so excited about season 7, guys. You haven't got long to wait. We're back on Friday, the 15th of May, with the first show from season 7, and that'll be featuring the 8 Degrees Polar Vortex IPA. And then the very next night, Saturday, the 16th of May, you'll be able to see us live on the YouTubes for the lock-in with Camden Town IHL.
Indeedy. So until the week after next, Steve.
It's been the highlight of my week and the first part of 2015, mate.
It's been the highlight of my quarter. Until next time, bye-bye.